Alright, what's going on, guys? Today we've got something very interesting to talk about. Something that, if it does turn out to be true, could really shake up the future of From Software games. And that is a rumor that's been catching some steam lately, that Sony and PlayStation might be eyeing a purchase of From Software. Now, as of right now, this is just a rumor, but where there's smoke, there's typically fire. And we do actually have quite a bit of evidence for this. So today I'm going to lay out all the evidence we have, and give you my thoughts on it, whether or not I think it could be a legit thing, and what this could potentially mean if it does turn out to be true down the line. But as always, before we get started today, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. This channel is going to be bringing you a lot of Elden Ring coverage, although you may not want to be watching Elden Ring videos right now because at the time of me recording this, a lot of outlets have just dropped new Elden Ring gameplay, and it is pretty spoiler heavy. Personally, I'm not choosing to engage with those spoilers because I do want to go in blind, and we only have 2 weeks left. Of course though, all the videos from now until release on this channel are going to be spoiler free. But with that out of the way, let's get into the news. So let's start the video off with a thing that really added fire to this rumor, and the biggest hint at this possible acquisition. And that is this article from PlayStation Blog where Miyazaki and the heads of PlayStation owned studios got together and discussed their favorite bosses from Software games. This also comes after a recent interview by PlayStation with Miyazaki discussing his thoughts in the development behind Elden Ring. Now, on its own, this doesn't really sound like much. This could very well just be promotion for Elden Ring. Although people are finding it a little bit strange that they took the time to get all these other PlayStation-owned studios, and Miyazaki himself, to discuss this. Now, the thoughts of this being a clue towards the acquisition are not uncalled for. It's when we start to look at the climate of other gaming studios that we see why this article might in fact be kind of fishy. It's no secret that Microsoft and Sony have kind of been in an acquisition war as of recently. Ever since September 30th, when it was announced that PlayStation was going to be acquiring Bluepoint Games, the studio behind the Demon's Souls remake, both Microsoft and Sony have stated that they're going to be stepping up their acquisitions to have more exclusive games for their consoles, with the most notable acquisitions being from Microsoft, Activision Blizzard, and Sony acquiring Bungie, the developers behind Destiny. And aside from the 2019 reveal trailer of Elden Ring, there hasn't been hardly any Elden Ring promotion by Microsoft. But I think you can see why people are kind of quick to think that there might be some kind of inside talks between PlayStation and From Software. Now, this rumor has been going on for quite some time before this article came out, and we do have more evidence to discuss here. If you guys remember, about a year ago, Sony purchased about a 2% stake in Kadokawa, which is the parent company of From Software, for the purpose of expanding their IPs and diversifying their portfolio of games around the globe. Now, that is old news, but it gets interesting when you compare it with the marketing plans for Elden Ring. Not too long ago, Bandai Namco laid out their plans and goals for the marketing of Elden Ring, and they stated that their main goal and target market for the game was to break into a Western audience. So if you think about this from a business standpoint, Elden Ring would be the perfect game to see if From Software has really got their footing in the Western market. And if the game does do well in the West, then they would have a great opportunity to acquire the studio. And I think it's been plainly known how much people want a Bloodborne 2, with it trending like 3 to 4 times a month. And for those of you that don't know, the Bloodborne IP is actually owned by Sony. But it doesn't actually end there. As I was doing some research on this topic, I was looking around at gaming outlets talking about future PlayStation acquisitions. And Jeff Keighley had stated that there are some very big deals that are in the final stages of their works. Now, what I found interesting is that a lot of these outlets, if not all that I came across, suspected that the studio that they would acquire next would be From Software. And to me, all of this compounding interest is starting to add up just a little bit too much. Now, if you guys have been around for a long time, then you know that Sony has always been pretty close with From Software. So it's not entirely out of the norm for them to hype up Elden Ring like this. But it is very interesting that they're also getting their other studios on board to also reference Elden Ring. Now, of course, this could all just be a very warm gesture of kindness to show their friendship and partnership with Miyazaki and From Software, but this is the world of business we're talking about. Whenever you shake somebody's hand, there's probably money in it. But I want to also talk about that if these rumors do turn out to be true, what could this mean for the future of From Software games? because I know there's a lot of y'all that are probably sweating right now talking about this that don't have a PS5. And let me quell your fears a little bit. I have recognized the sentiment from my time throughout the Souls community that PlayStation does seem to be the home of From Software games. We had Demon's Souls, we had the Demon's Souls remake, and we've had Bloodborne as PlayStation exclusives. We haven't really had an Xbox exclusive hard-hitting From Software game, and even though Sekiro was marketed pretty heavily on Xbox, it still came to PlayStation, so I understand why people think this way. But even if Sony were to acquire From Software, I don't think it would be a bad thing. But before I expand on this, absolutely yes, I do think that if they acquired it, there definitely would be some exclusives. However, I think the pattern would remain the same. I don't think that if Sony acquired PlayStation, all of the future games would only be on PlayStation. Because if we look at what they did with Bungie, it wasn't an entirely exclusivity deal. The thing that this would probably lead to would be a higher budget for From Software, and an ability to make better games. I don't think Xbox and PC players would be completely left out, however I absolutely think that PlayStation exclusive From Software games would happen, just like we saw with Demon's Souls and Bloodborne. So before you get all broken up about it, that is probably what would happen. Personally, I wouldn't really want this to happen, because I don't like the idea of exclusive games, period. But I do think at the end of the day we would get better games because of it. Now let's talk about if I think this is gonna happen or not, and if I believe the rumors that are going around. Now you guys know that I love to partake in the speculation, and I've been reporting on leaks and rumors for a long time. But to keep it a buck with you guys, I'm gonna drop a big I don't know on this one. Because in all honesty, I really don't know what to make of all the evidence we have. It would make a lot of sense for Sony to acquire From Software. The relationship is already there, they've got really good work under their belt together. And they have projects that they could resume if they were to work together on them. Bloodborne 2 is a game that people want very, very badly. And it's a game that would make them a lot of money. Like I said earlier, I think Elden Ring would be the perfect litmus test to see if From Software has that stopping power to crack into the Western market. And if it does, and if I'm Sony, I would definitely take any opportunity I could to acquire the studio. They'd be able to grow the studio, they'd be able to pump more money into them, and they would be able to get more money out. And Sony has proven that they respect From Software's vision, and would allow them to make the games they ultimately want to make. So while I think this makes a lot of sense, and I think would be a perfect business decision, I'm not entirely sure that's going to be the outcome we get from this. I do think the rumors are justified, but at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see. But that's all my thoughts on it. Anyways guys, that's going to pretty much do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on it, and let me know down below, do you want Sony to acquire From Software? I myself am kind of split on it. But aside from that, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Also, watch out for those Elden Ring spoilers. They're out there.